and welcome to this webinar. This webinar is the second in the Housing Industry Association's series of webinars related to the JobKeeper Payment stimulus measure provided by the federal government in response to COVID-19. This webinar will focus on applying for the JobKeeper Payment. Today we'll provide a refresh on what the JobKeeper Payment is, and we'll also outline how you can apply for the payment. Please note, HIA has developed a series of fact sheets and webinars on the JobKeeper Payment to assist our members to understand these requirements. We understand that this whole process can be really complex and would like to remind our members who require assistance, you can contact HIA's Workplace Services team on 1300 650 620 or by emailing inquiry@hia.com.au. So what is the JobKeeper Payment? Just a bit of a recap. Becoming eligible for the JobKeeper Payment means two things. Firstly, as an employer, you'll be eligible for a wage subsidy of $1,500 before tax per fortnight per employee for up to 6 months. PAYG is payable on this amount. The payment of superannuation will depend on whether or not the employee's usual wage is more or less than the $1,500. For more information, we suggest that you see HIA's JobKeeper Information Sheet number 4, Receiving the Payment. Secondly, once eligible, an employer can give eligible employees directions in relation to the hours of work and annual leave. These working arrangement directions are explained further in our other information sheets on our website and other webinars HIA will have available going forward. The purpose of the JobKeeper Payment is to support employers to maintain a connection with their employees, enabling businesses to reactivate their operation quickly without having to rehire staff when the crisis is over. It's important to know when applying for JobKeeper, there are several key dates which are relevant. From the 20th of April, you can enrol for the JobKeeper Payment with the Australian Taxation Office. By the 8th of May, if you're claiming JobKeeper payments for April, you'll need to have paid your employees at minimum $1,500 per fortnight. Ideally, these payments will be paid as they fall due. However, the ATO has indicated that it will be acceptable to pay no later than by the 8th of May. From the 4th of May onwards, you'll need to notify the ATO of your eligible employees. On or before the 14th of May, JobKeeper payments are expected to be made by the ATO. And by the 31st of May, this is the final date to enrol to claim for JobKeeper fortnights in April and May. This date was recently extended by the ATO. Then each month thereafter, you're required to reconfirm your eligibility with the ATO. Of note, there are a number of steps involved in meeting each of these requirements, which will be detailed within this webinar. Also, it's worth noting that a number of these steps involve reference to external forms and website links. These can all be found in HIA's suite of JobKeeper information sheets on the HIA website or by contacting a HIA workplace advisor. So who should apply? It is employers and business owners who must apply for JobKeeper payments through following a series of steps and meeting the key dates. Employers who meet business eligibility criteria will need to apply on behalf of their employees. Employees must also satisfy a range of employee-related eligibility criteria. Business owners, such as an eligible sole trader, can receive the JobKeeper payment directly for themselves. A business owner is not required to have employees to be eligible. Further detail about eligibility can be found in HIA's first JobKeeper payment webinar. We'll now go through each of these series of steps which need to be done in order to apply for the JobKeeper payment. One of the first actions required is enrolling for the JobKeeper payment with the ATO, and this can be done from the 20th of April. And it involves a couple of steps. The first step involves determining your business's eligibility to enrol for the JobKeeper payment. Thereafter, you're required to notify your employees that you're intending to claim for the JobKeeper payment on their behalf. You should also check that they're not claiming the JobKeeper payment through another employer or have nominated for the payment through another business. This process ideally should be done in writing in a form of communication which is usual with the employee. The third step in the enrolment process involves sending your nominated employees the ATO JobKeeper Employee Nomination Notice for them to complete and return to you. This should be returned by the end of April if you plan to claim the JobKeeper payment for April. You are required to keep a copy on file. It is worth noting that this document is not required to be submitted to the ATO or anywhere else, but is simply required to be kept for ATO record-keeping purposes. For the fourth step, from the 20th of April, you can enrol for the JobKeeper payment through using the ATO business portal and your MyGov ID. You have until the 31st of May to enrol for the April and May JobKeeper payments. Next, in the online enrolment form, you'll be required to provide your banking details. These are the details as to where the payments will be deposited. Thereafter, you'll be required to specify the estimated number of employees who will be eligible for the first JobKeeper payment fortnight claimed. The second action required is confirming your eligible employees. From the 4th of May, employers and businesses can confirm eligible employees with the ATO. Again, there's a number of steps involved in this process, which include: Step 1, apply to claim the JobKeeper payment by logging into your ATO business portal. Step 2 involves identifying your eligible employees in the application form. Now, this can be done in a number of ways. Firstly, by selecting your employee details that are pre-filled from your single touch payroll pay reports if you report payroll information through a single touch payroll enabled solution, or manually entering employee details into the ATO online services or the business portal if you do not have a single touch payroll enabled solution, or by using a registered tax agent who will submit a report on your behalf through the ATO online services for agent. Step 3 in confirming your eligible employees involves submitting confirmation of these employees online and waiting for your ATO confirmation email or SMS showing that it's been received. Step 4, you'll need to notify your eligible employees that you've nominated them for the JobKeeper payments. Again, this should be done in the usual means in which you communicate with your employees in writing. It's important to be aware that each month, in order to maintain your JobKeeper payments, you will be required to provide the ATO a JobKeeper declaration report. This can be done through the ATO business portal or via a registered tax agent. The declaration report will reconfirm your reported eligible employees and provide some information as to your current and projected turnover. Of note, you do not need to retest your reported fall into turnover. Rather, this information provides the ATO detail as to how you're progressing under the JobKeeper scheme. And it also notifies that if your eligible employees change or leave employment with your business. So when will you receive the first payment? The first payments are expected to be made by the ATO on or before the 14th of May, and if claimed, will cover the first 2 April JobKeeper fortnights, which commence from the 30th of March. Is there anything you can't do when claiming JobKeeper payments? There is a couple of things that you need to be mindful of. You cannot claim the JobKeeper payment on behalf of employees who were not paid at least $1,500 before tax during each JobKeeper payment period. For example, if claiming for the first 2 April JobKeeper fortnights, employees must have already been paid for April. The ATO has indicated that it will be acceptable for these payments to be made to employees no later than the 8th of May. The JobKeeper payment is a reimbursement from the ATO to an employer and/or business owner in arrears, i.e. for payments that are already made. The current guidance from the government is that those businesses who may not be able to pay employee wages before receiving JobKeeper payments may want to speak to their bank to discuss short-term loan options. Several banks have established phone hotlines for the purpose of JobKeeper payments. So what next? As mentioned earlier, HIA has developed a series of fact sheets and webinars on the JobKeeper payment to assist our members to understand these requirements. We will shortly have other webinars available on receiving JobKeeper payments, JobKeeper enabling directions, record keeping, and reporting obligations. We do understand this process can be complex, and members requiring assistance are encouraged to contact HIA's Workplace Services team by calling 1300 650 620 or emailing inquiry@hia.com.au. Thank you for your time.